So I got these face masks from Walmart. There were 5 a pack and $7.50 for a pack, and I just grabbed like 2 packs in total. And here is all of these supplies, all the fabric dye that I'll be using, and color dye fixative and puffy paint. So we can go ahead and move on to the first mask and shirt. So for this mask, I just kind of wanted a neon moment. So I took that sort of neon green and I went ahead and put it in a water bottle with like the hole punched in the middle. And all I did was just spray it until it was to my liking on both the front and the back. And then moving on to the shirt. So this is like a little boy's medium, I think, long sleeve t-shirt from Walmart from the boys section. So I first put it on, and then I'm just kind of seeing where exactly I want to crop it by folding it under, just making sure that it is cropped to my liking, because I really wanted like some cropped shirts. So I went ahead and did that, even raised my arms just to make sure no too much of an under boob situation would happen. And then I took a lip liner because I can't find no pens in my house. And then I just kind of lined really high up because I really wanted this to be cropped and I knew I wanted it to be short. And then I just kind of took that to my little workstation table and I cut it out. And this is also me allowing for seam allowance for hemming the bottom of the shirt. So just to let y'all know, if you do this, make sure you account for seam allowance. Don't cut it exactly where you want to cut it unless you're going to keep those raw hems and raw edges. I was not going to keep those raw hems and raw edges, so this cut kind of accounts for the seam allowance. It would also be better if you had, say, a ruler so you were able to draw the line across. I have no such thing, so we just improvised, and I knew I was going to be hemming it anyway, so it wasn't all that serious. Okay, so it's super late. Well, it's not super late, it's like 8 something or whatever, but I did this because I didn't want to look like a fool on camera if I did this and it didn't turn out well. But that long sleeve top, I kind of turned this into an off the shoulder moment, and I used nothing but hemming tape. I am going to use, because the hemming tape was getting a bit thick right here and I needed to cut it down, I'm probably going to just end up sewing those ends together just so that it's more of a seamless look to it. But I pretty much made this top out of a little boy's shirt. But pretty much all I did is I cut off. So I put on the top to first figure out, okay, where do I want to cut it here, adding for seam allowance, just for use of the hemming tape. But I drew a mark from like shoulder all the way down to right under my armpit of kind of how I wanted the top to sit. And so then I cut that out, and then folded the raw edges in, put some hemming tape on that, ironed it all the way around. One thing I noticed about the shirt was that it got baggy. So like, because it was just so loose, because it no longer had that like structured kind of collar keeping it together. So what I ended up doing was kind of pinching the sides of the shirt and marking where my fingers were. So then that way, when I was gonna add some more hemming tape, I just put the hemming tape like where I had put that mark, ironed it down, cut off the excess, and boom, there she is. Okay, so it is 2 a.m. I am watching with Wendy on repeat. I'm doing stuff I can't do because I don't have a sewing machine. And so here I am trying to sorta kind of match this. I used a water bottle for this one, but I'm afraid I'm not gonna get the same results just because I didn't originally know how to properly use the dye, and now I do. I'm just kind of gonna freestyle it, practicing kind of what I want to do, but I'm scared. But instead of like going at it from like a spritz, that's what my bottle was on, I'm kind of going at it from like a straight spray, as you can see. And I just continued to spray the neon green on the shirt just in whatever sort of way, just to make sure that I was getting the exact pattern that I wanted. And then I let it sit overnight, washed it, and then bada bing bada boom, you have your matching shirt and mask. So now on to mask and shirt number 2. So I'm first taking the coral Rit dye from Rit. I didn't have a clip of me actually putting the mask in. I apologize about that, but I pretty much just left that in and let it sit for a while, washed and dried it. And now I am just applying the puff paint in a real random sort of stripy motion. I did that for both the white and the black paint. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Just be random with it until it looks cool to you. Now moving on to the shirt, I did test it out just to see. The mask did turn out a little darker than the actual shirt, but I think it's fine. I don't think you can really notice it. And I don't want to say stabbed the shirt in, but I made sure that the shirt was soaked. I was even moving it around a little bit, and I let it sit for about an hour or so before taking it out, washing it, drying it, all that good stuff.
Hello, I am back, and it is now, I think it's 11, but instead of just keeping the shirt like this, because yeah, this is kind of cute, but like, I want to do something snazzier with it. Plus, I find that in these longer sleeve shirts, the arms are so like tight, and I don't like that. Because I fixed that other problem by cutting like a sleeve off and then having this kind of sleeve be more open. Excuse my messy workstation in the background. But I wanted to do something different, so I'm gonna see if I can make like a halter top-ish thing. This time I'll take you along with me, because the last time I didn't. It actually turned out well, but if it doesn't turn out well while I'm filming this, then this footage will never see the light of day. Neither will the shirt. So, but what I did was I took a pencil and a lip liner actually, and I just kind of drew out the halter shape and where I'll eventually end up cutting the sleeves. And I'm going to actually be keeping the neckline hem, just because creates less work for me to do. Plus, you already have it here, so why not use it? Ta-da! And I am back with all the halter top realness. So pretty much all I did is I kept the collar the exact same. I cut out the pieces. I obviously did a lot more cutting in the back. Really all that is like, once I kind of cut out the shape of the front and the arms, then I like went to the back of the neck, cut off the fabric that was attached to that, and then just kind of tried my best to like do a even line from arm to arm. And then pretty much all I did was just hem using hemming tape, hem. Another thing I forgot to mention is because, when you're starting to cut off all that fabric, it tends to get super loose, like the fit of it, especially like these areas got super loose and it was super baggy in the back. So really all I did was you can't see it, I'm trying it on just to make sure I didn't like bring in too much, which I don't think I did. But I just, again, kind of like the same thing that I did with the off the shoulder top, is I cut, I didn't cut, I just folded it right sides together, and then I put the fabric tape in between the right sides, ironed it, flipped it out, and then boom.
And then the same puff paint steps that I took on that mask, doing the exact same thing for the shirt. And I did this to the front and the back of the shirt. I let the front of the shirt actually sit for about 4 hours. That's what it said. I actually let it sit overnight, and then I did the front of the shirt in the morning, let that sit, and then I had my matching set. Now on to the third set of the mask and shirt. So I first started off with the RIT dye in red and doing the exact same thing I did with the coral mask. I tested the color and then let it sit in this dye. I think I let it sit for a while actually, like because I wanted it to be really red. I let it sit for a while I did and worked on my other shirt. And I did the same thing that I did for the long sleeve shirt. This is a little boy's polo from Walmart as well. I think it was about $3. Like I think it's like a little school shirt. Did the same thing, put it on, figured out where I wanted to crop it, marked it, and then went and cut it out. And then this time I was actually, well, I mean, I did the same thing for the other shirt, I just didn't show it, but here is me folding in the raw edges because I wanted to hem this shirt as well. And so I used hemming tape for that, of course, but first I folded all the edges in and then I made sure to press it down with my iron so that they were nice and crisp and wouldn't move when I had to flip the shirt inside out to start applying the hemming tape. And now I'm just using this hemming tape and I follow the directions, follow whatever directions say on the hemming tape because not every hemming tape is the same. But for this one, all you had to do was cut it out, put it where you needed to be, and make sure that the iron wasn't on steam and just sit it there. Now here's me practicing with the cut off piece of fabric. I just wanted to make sure that the spray would come out exactly how I wanted it. Then taking my pre-made Louis Vuitton stencils, I just placed them where I wanted them on the shirt and was very precise about spraying it on them and on the shirt. And even when I moved on to a different section, I made sure to cover the already done section so then that way the red dye doesn't get on those sections. And then I let this sit overnight before I washed it, and then bada bing, bada boom, you have your shirt and your mask. Now moving on to set number 4. So this one is going to be a little odd to kind of explain, but first I just took the blue RIT fabric dye and did the same exact thing I did with the neon mask, just spraying it all over with a water bottle with a hole at the top. And let me just tell you, so originally on the front of the mask was supposed to be a butterfly, but it was ugly. I hated it. It was so ugly. It was so just don't ever do it. So I tried to like attempt to wipe it off, but of course the black and yellow puff paint was not gonna wipe off, but it ended up smudging, and then I think that created a really cool effect for the mask, which allowed me to be a lot more creative to do the yellow and blue shirt that I did. So the original idea that I had for the yellow and blue shirt was to like do these like almost spray can paint vibes, which ended up being really ugly. And once I did that side, I took the RIT blue dye. I made sure to test it out because I wanted a light blue color, and then I made sure to carefully only put one side of the shirt in, and I only left it in there for a couple of seconds because, you know, like it's fabric, it's absorbent, so that means the longer you keep it in there, the more like even though you only have half of it in there, the more it's going to absorb into the fabric. And I just wanted to make sure that I had a crisp line in the middle. And then to fill the shirt in, I just went in and sprayed the other side completely with that yellow, because that little spray paint idea that I thought was cute in my head actually wasn't cute in real life. So this is just me fixing it. Okay, so I'm back. The shirt actually looks beautiful except for that one random red dye mark, which is going to be the bane of my existence, but you know what, I'll accept it. But because I thought the shirt was going to be a little bit too plain, I decided I wanted to add some eyelets. So I took the ends of some of the leftover bits of the tank tops that I had, and so I cut those off so that way I could have strings. I'm probably going to cut them in half, just one, so it looks a little bit neater and it can fit through these eyelets. But I decided I wanted to have a lace-up thing, so yellow on the blue side, blue on the yellow side. So I went to Joann Fabrics and I got these like 2-part eyelet
things. It came with like the actual eyelets and all the eyelet pieces and then the eyelet tools. And then I already had this hammer that I picked up from Walmart. And pretty much I just kind of I put the shirt on and sort of cut where exactly I wanted it to go. And since I was gonna be using the eyelets, I didn't need to use any type of hemming tape. You can if you wanted to reinforce it, because I do think these parts had the hemming tape on it and they do feel a bit stronger, but that's fine. So what I ended up doing is I cut off the triangle, and then right here I sort of cut a slit. I'm gonna eventually add a piece of fabric tape to just kind of, not fabric tape, but hemming tape, and then fold that in and glue it down, just so that way I don't have that random thing sticking out. But I just kind of folded over, ironed it down, cut a little slit so that it can fold over easier, ironed it down, and then just attached the eyelets.
I am so sorry that I forgot to come back and actually show you lacing up the shirt, but it's just, you know, lacing up a shirt like you would do any like shoes or any other lace up top. And now moving on to the final mask and shirts, because I made several of these shirts to match different types of mask. So we can go ahead and get started with the blue one. So I basically did the same spray technique that I did for the red Louis Vuitton shirt. Instead, I'm just using blue and purple this time. And then for the multicolored mask, the same technique that I used for the red mask and red shirt, doing the exact same thing here, just with different colors, with purple, yellow, orange, and blue. Now for the tank top. So here I'm taking an already pre-made tank top, and I'm just using that as a guide to cut out where I need to cut for this other tank top. And then I lay it out and then do the exact same spray thing, this time just using purple and using yellow instead, because before I've used silver pins and this time I wanted to use gold pins, so I wanted to really use colors that complement it. And for this next part, I like to put the shirt on. So I put the shirt on and then I cut it directly down the middle. You don't have to do this, you can lay it out on a table, but the reason I like to put it on is when I start applying the actual safety pins, it just allows me to see where I want them to sit on my body. And once that is done, you are finished with all your shirt and all your mask, and you can be out here cute and safe while social distancing. Make sure to go ahead and follow me on all my social media. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Also, comment, what have you been doing during this quarantine season? Have you been making clothes? Have you been, I don't know, eating your life away? Let me know down in the comments below. And thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, when we comment, we want to bring people up and not bring people down. Bye, guys.